Now we continue our talk about the Atlanta Falcons. Look, right now, the Falcons sit solely in first place in the NFC South because the Buccaneers stunk it up last night. They actually got off to a good start. The Falcons got off to a 10-0 start in that game. Tom Brady threw for twice as many yards in the first quarter as he'd thrown for any first quarter yardage in any game this year. He just about doubled his number, his season high. And they lost, and now the Buccaneers are floundering around. They don't look like the same team. And as crazy it is to think, this game this weekend between Carolina and Atlanta is for the lead in the NFC South. Now, we talked here weeks ago, because now this is the narrative. Oh, the Falcons schedule. Yeah, we talked about that weeks ago. Okay. But it does. It does open up. It's San Diego next week, Thursday in Carolina, and then Washington and Chicago and Pittsburgh and all these teams that get mixed up in there. Falcons have a very winnable schedule. But here's what I'll tell you. Okay. Look, are the Falcons going to run off 5 or 6 wins in a row? Let me ask you an honest question. Do the Falcons look like a team that is ready to run off 5 or 6 wins in a row? I don't think so. I don't think they look like that kind of team. Could they? Hell, it's the NFL, right? Anything's possible in the NFL. But here's what I'll tell you, because I know some people are upset. Again, the funniest part is seeing the Arthur Smith should be fired commentary and this, that, and the other, because he won't throw it when they're down 3 touchdowns. Again, Arthur Smith's had an outstanding start to this season for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, if they find a way to win the NFC South this year, I don't care if it's because everybody else sucks. If Arthur Smith finds a way to win the NFC South this year, he's the coach of the year in the NFL. Sorry. I mean, he's the coach of the year without question. But here's what's great about the NFL, okay? This is what I love about the NFL. There's no BCS computer to determine things. There's no selection committee to look at your strength of schedule and your RPI and all these things. There's no college football playoff committee, a bunch of nudniks in a room that sit around and debate and have discussions about who should be ranked. There's no Harris poll of old former coaches where their demographic is 80 to dead deciding on who should be in or out. The NFL is, I go to profootballreference.com, I look at the standings and I see what's your W and what's your L, and that tells me everything I need to know. I don't have to guess or think about anything. And I can click on playoff summary and it'll tell you who ranks who with the tiebreakers, because there are tiebreakers in the NFL. Outside of that, you win or you lose. That's what's great about it. Doesn't matter what everybody else does. If everybody else can't win, that's a them problem. But watching the Falcons right now, look, this is a great start for the Falcons. It's not a good start. It's a great start. 3-4 after 7 games, and you're winning the division right now. Brother, you take that all day long. So embrace the idea of winning. Look, what the national media said. Look, remember, the blue checkmark national media, that's the same guys who tried to tell me that Deshaun Watson would be an Atlanta Falcon, that John Collins was going to get traded, that Arch Manning was going to, Georgia and Alabama. That's the same group of people that were telling you all of those things. What do I say all the time? That it's the Peter King theory, okay? All these nudniks that are up above, they understand the totality of the NFL better than anybody. Peter King understands the NFL better than I do. He has better insight about the Jets, the Chargers, the Rams, better insight than I do. But I follow and watch and listen, and I'm engaged in the Atlanta Falcons every single day. I hear all the audio. I listen to all the press conferences. I've been to press conferences. I go out to camp. I get the pulse of this team. I don't do that for the Jets and the Rams and Jacksonville and everybody else because I live in Atlanta. So I understand what the Falcons are. Did I think the Falcons were going to be a 2-win team? No. Did I think the Falcons were going to be a 10-11 win team? No. I said before the start of the season, I thought they'd be a 6-win team. They were 7 last year. I predicted they'd be 7 last year. They hit right on the number. Do I think the Falcons at this point are going to win more than 6 games? Yes. How many more are they going to win? I don't know. I don't know that the Falcons are going to be a 10 or 11 win team. But certainly their schedule, the way they're coached, if they get back to playing good defense and they can get everybody healthy, they have their shot to be in contention for this division all year long. Because as we see, Carolina's not very good. The Saints are certainly not very good. The Saints are going to start Andy Dalton for the rest of the year. They have a healthy Jameis Winston and said, you know what? I think we're going to start Dalton. We're good. They're going to start Andy Dalton for the rest of the year. The Buccaneers, they're a hot mess. This is the first. Think about how crazy this stat is. This is the first time in Tom Brady's history that he's 2 games under 500. 2. He's only 2 games under 500. It's the first time in his career that he's been 2 games under 500. And they said, the worst, or this is the longest that he's gone being below 500. He's never been below 500 in a season this late in the year. Hell, we're only at week 8. It's not like we're late in the year. We haven't even gotten really, truthfully, to the halfway point. We're not past the halfway point yet, but they're a hot mess. So, look, can the Falcons be competitive? I'm not worried about the rest of the NFC and where they rank or this, that, and the other. Win your division first, right? In these games directly against your division, and where they get hurt is they already have 2 losses in the division. Lost to the Saints, lost to the Buccaneers. That's why this game becomes so important, because when you start to get into tiebreakers and things like that, first thing that's going to pop up is what's your record within the division. If you start getting into tiebreakers, you have to start figuring out, okay, what's my record in the division? That's why these games right now with Carolina and then, the end of the year with the Buccaneers, in the last 4 weeks of the season, they're going to play the Saints and Buccaneers to end the year, right? They got in their last 4 games, I think it's Saints, Baltimore, Arizona, Tampa is how the last 4 games go. So it's going to be important to win these divisional games and finding a way. I hate to say it this way, but find a way to sweep Carolina. You can figure out some things. They lose to the Chargers, this, and the other, but you win your divisional games and you stay paced there. So, look, I don't know what the Falcons' record is going to be at this point because there's a lot of Jekyll and Hyde with what they are. If they get down by a couple of scores, I don't know how much they can have the ability to come back, right? As much as we rag on Marcus Mariota and things like that, they're really going to be dictated by how good their defense is, because Mariota is what he is. And I'll continue to say, and people have argued with me about this, I don't think they have as much trust in Mariota. And again, they didn't plan on Mariota to be their quarterback. They thought either Matt Ryan would be here for 1 more year or Deshaun Watson would be leading this team at quarterback. That was their plan. I can 1,000% assure you that was their plan. Was Watson or Matt Ryan were going to be their quarterback this year, not Marcus Mariota. And then it all fell apart, and this was plan F for the Falcons. So embrace what it is. Enjoy the winning aspect of all of this. It could continue to go, and it continues on a 4, 5, 6 game winning streak, right? Or it could come crashing down at any point, like a house of cards, right? Falcons could go 5-0 in their next 5 games. I don't think that's what they're going to do. They could go 0-5. I don't think they're going to do that either. So just embrace what it is for this year. Before we get too high, too low on everything, we get too much of this going on. Take it week by week and look at the individual matchup. Before we start projecting 6 more wins for the Falcons, and they're 9-5 after 14 games. Take it week by week, because this team is in a situation where, with what their roster and what their talent is, you could be great 1 week, terrible the next, and then be in the middle the following week after that. But it's fun, and I'll take first place all day long, because I don't care what everybody else is. I care about what the Falcons are and where they stand within their division. All right. We always ask you to make Locked On Sports Landing your first listen every day. For your second listen, though, I want you to check out Locked On Sports Today. Check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Locked On Sports Today is available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your favorite podcast from.